Welcome back, this is Greg with 𝐸sportsRehabExpert.com. Today we're going to be going over how you can help out with golfer's elbow and tennis elbow with just one exercise. Why they call it golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, most of the time it's not golfers or tennis players who are actually dealing with this problem. I don't know. All I know is this one simple exercise can solve a lot of the problems, whether the pain is on the inside or the outside of your elbow. So stay tuned. Oh, P.S. We're going to get the arm farm going on today. So what better way of solving elbow problems than doing bicep curls, right? So this, my friends, is called a Zotman Curl. This rotation that we're doing with the biceps and the elbow is what's going to help solve a lot of your elbow problems, whether it's on the inside of your elbow or the outside of your elbow. Now there's a key subtlety to this exercise, and it's where you hold the weight. So I like to bias my grip to one side of the weight, the side in closest to my body. What that does is it creates a little bit more torque into supination on the way up, which is going to help that medial elbow, and then it's going to create more torque into pronation as you rotate down to help get that 𝐏𝐫𝐸𝐵𝐬. So biasing your grip on the Zotman curl to the inside here can be an effective way to loading both the medial elbow and the lateral elbow in a way of progressively adding resistance to the exercise over time to help load those tissues up and make the elbow pain-free for you again. Now the other little trick to the exercise is you actually want a little bit of wrist extension. So you can see how gravity is taking my wrist downward, and that's going to allow me to contract the biceps better, and then when we rotate over, keeping that wrist extended up is going to light up the 𝐏𝐫𝐸𝐵𝐬 even more so. So a couple key strategies, again, inside of the hand, cock the wrist, and control the movement throughout. This is not an exercise that you really need to go super heavy on, especially if you're dealing with pain. Graded exposure is the key. Now with any rehab exercise, keep in mind that this is just a video. I have no clue about your current situation. I don't know if this exercise is right for you, so use it at your own risk. If you'd like my specific recommendation, you can email me at greg@𝐸sportsRehabExpert.com and we can hash out the details. Now sometimes people will prefer to do this exercise with just one wrist, so you can really focus in on controlled, slow movements, and you can really focus in on the rotation that's happening at the elbow. Which, if you try it with two hands, especially as you get up in weight, it can be a little bit more difficult to focus on both hands at once. But once you get the hang of the technique, it's really not that hard to do it with both hands simultaneously, and might as well bulletproof the other elbow while you're at it. Now you'll notice, as you get up in weight, it's harder to keep the wrist in that extended position. You're going to have to use your better judgment there of if adding more load to the exercise is benefiting you from this eccentric component, controlling it on the way down, or is the wrist extension component being helpful for you. If you find yourself in that scenario, a lot of times it means that your bicep is significantly stronger than what your forearm is capable of doing. So while it may still be useful to do some bicep-based exercises, if you find it difficult to control the weight down in this wrist extended position right here, then you probably want to add more forearm exercises into your workout routine as well if you're dealing with elbow pain. So hopefully you can see how this exercise helps individuals who play sports and are dealing with elbow pain, how this exercise can be one simple solution that may be worth your while to try and perform for a period of time. Even those keyboard warriors who spend all their time typing can find themselves using this muscle a significant amount of time throughout the day, in addition to all the swiping that they do on their phone. Well, it might be useful to put that phone and the keyboard down for a bit. It's also useful to get that tendon super strong so that you can continue working on the keyboard and flipping through your phone without worrying about dealing with elbow pain quite so frequently anymore. Also, sports such as throwing. As we're throwing, you can see how there's a lot of momentum that we have to control and slow down using this brachioradialis muscle. So it would make sense to get that muscle super strong so that it can withstand the demands of the sport. Football, baseball, any type of throwing activity. Same thing with a forehand or any type of tennis, golf activity, swinging. There's a lot of forceful wrist action and rotation. Brachioradialis and the biceps, for that matter, play a super important role in keeping the elbow healthy. If we have all this power up into the shoulder, but we don't have much strength down into the forearm, we're not going to be able to attenuate forces very well through the hand, which is ultimately where all your throwing and rotational sports are played through, is through the hand. So if there's a lot more power that you can produce up here, there's a lot more force that's ultimately going through the elbow, which means your elbow needs to have more capacity to be able to tolerate those forces. Which is why elbow, forearm, bicep, tricep, brachioradialis training is super important for rotational and shoulder-based athletes, or overhead athletes, as we like to call them in the rehab world.